Yo, what's going on guys, it's Sam here and welcome back to another video. Now this is my first video in 2021, so happy new year. I hope it's better than 2020 for you. I have actually published a video in 2021, but it kind of doesn't count because I recorded that back in 2020. Back in 2020, it's so long ago, isn't it? Literally the other day. But yeah, this is the first video I'm recording in 2021, so happy new year, I can say it officially now. And like I said, I hope it's much better than last year was. Or if you had a really good year last year somehow, then I hope this year just tops it. Today we're going to be talking about something that's very important to all you filmmakers out there, I mean even photographers or anybody in the creative industry that likes to create images or imagery or visuals, if that makes sense. We're going to be talking today about how to frame your image correctly, how to, create the right composition and sort of match your inner visuals onto the camera. Again, does that make any sense? Most people when they start off filmmaking, including me, would picture their scene, pick up their camera and record it. And now, although that's well and good and it works in most circumstances, the thing that will separate you from the rest, the best from the rest essentially, is knowing how to correctly composite your shot and knowing how to add different elements into your frame and creatively design your frame to be able to capture your viewer's attention. Now, I only learned all of this information recently, and I'm definitely not in a position to be able to teach you how to do everything perfectly. I'm just kind of showing you what I've learned in the past couple of months and how it's probably going to help me for the new year. And if it can help one of you, if you're looking to make films or videos or pictures or anything, then again, the video is worth making. So let's just hop into it. Let's not waste any more time. And I'm going to give you some pointers, some tips, some tricks on how to create your frame and design the video that you want to design using composition. I feel like I'm not making any sense today. So the first tip I would give you is to be able to, it's very cliche one, is to capture a story, to be able to create a story, not in the whole video, in just this one frame, this one shot, this one scene, being able to capture your viewer's attention and lead their eyes exactly where you want them to be. Now there are many different ways to do this. A big one is the rule of thirds. You've probably heard of it. You can have grids up on most cameras, if not all cameras these days, to be able to align your subject within these lines that are on the camera, meaning that your viewer's eyes are naturally drawn to the center. So if you had your subject and it was off to the right, this can definitely work in some circumstances if you're trying to show a larger frame or something like that. But if your subject was on the right and on the left there wasn't really much of a scene, then it kind of doesn't really make sense. If you're not trying to show something to the side of your subject, there's no point in not having the subject dead center in the frame, unless you're trying to tell a story that's differently or you're having text on the screen. It's hard for me to go into detail about how to create and design your frame because there are so many different creative ways. And anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on. Essentially, the first tip is to be able to capture a story. So like I said, just think outside the box. If you're going to shoot your frame, think of how you want this frame to look. Where do you want your viewer's eyes to be? So if you're shooting a guy that's sat on the edge of a rock on a mountain, straight away you're obviously going to want your viewers to see this guy sat on the rock, but you're also going to want to see the background. You're going to want to see the mountains, the view that he's looking off to. So again, there's so many creative ways that you can do this. If you wanted the background to be blurry and this guy to be in focus, you can obviously lower the aperture. Different settings come into play obviously when you're trying to create and design your shot. But in my case, what I tend to do if I was capturing a guy sat on the edge of a rock with a nice mountain range behind him, I'd want to, for example, bump up my aperture quite high, so that what that essentially then does is gives you a wider range of focus, so you can see the whole frame in focus. Whereas if I was shooting the same shot but I didn't want you to be distracted by the background, then I would add a low aperture to my shot, which would then have my subject in focus, so that's basically all you can see with a subtle blurred background. That was a pretty bad example. I'm not really good at telling you what to do or giving you examples for anything, but I mean, you can kind of picture what I'm trying to say. The next thing I want to talk about, which is really important to me, is being able to design your frame. I kind of touched on that in the last pointer, but when you're creating a video or even an image, before you create the video, you should always have a vision of what it's going to look like. In some circumstances, that's not possible. I appreciate that. But if you're trying to create this long-term film, the first thing I do is try and picture exactly how I want the scene to look. Once I've done that, then I will acquire the correct items or things that I need to create that scene. Lighting is a huge thing, and it's something that I disregarded for the longest time ever, but being able to invest in the correct lighting, definitely RGB lighting as well, that can change colors that you can have to set different moods, is so important, especially when you're shooting indoors. It's quite hypocritical of me because I don't even have a light set up at the moment. This is actually a good example. What I'll do is add a light to this side of the frame. Because I already have natural light coming from my window, you might notice, I don't know, because it's daytime it might be okay, but you might notice that this side of my face is more lit up. Whereas this little light, which costs under £100, if I was to add this light, I don't know what settings it's on at the moment. Now, I'm not sure if that made too much of a difference, but this light is so small I can literally put it anywhere. You probably notice now that the left side of my face is now more exposed, which essentially creates a better frame. I should have been doing this from the start. Instead of starting the video without this light, I should have had it. Little things make the biggest difference, and you might not notice it too much, or you might not think it's a massive deal, but if I started the video with this light, straight away you'd think the video is better quality or it's shot on a better camera. Being able to add other elements to sort of texturize your film as well definitely helps, or your photo. If you have other items that you want to add in, so say for example if you're out again in the wild or in a forest, having leaves and branches and stuff like that you can kind of flash in front of the frame definitely helps in certain circumstances if you're again trying to tell a story. It's hard for me to sit here and tell you what to do when I haven't got a clue what you guys want to do with your films or photography or anything, if you're even looking to do that. So the best advice I could give really is to sit down, brainstorm, think of how you want your shot to look, think of what elements you need to create that shot, and go from there. Composition is key, it's absolutely everything. So when creating your shot, let's forget all the external elements that you can add in and bring in to create different lighting, to create different effects, different colors. The biggest thing is to frame your shot correctly. So I'm going to show you two examples now. The first one's going to be shot with the camera that you're seeing this video from now. It's my main camera that I shoot on, and it's going to be just a random video. I haven't decided what I'm going to take it of yet. But the next shot then is going to be using this bad boy, which is my iPhone. Now everybody's got an iPhone, or everybody's got a phone that has a capable camera on it, or at least I assume you would have. If not, you've probably got a camera that's capable lying around somewhere. Everyone has a camera on something. So notice how the video that I shot with my iPhone actually looks better than the video that I shot with my camera. That's because I put some forethought into it, essentially. I thought of where I wanted to composite the video, how I wanted it to look, where I wanted the movement to be, whereas with this camera I picked it up and started recording. That's it, I recorded the subject. Whereas with this phone, like I said, I was looking at, you know, different ways to include the subject into the frame without it just being obvious and boring. Like I said before, this is what separates the best from the rest. So as well as being able to add different elements to your frame to create depth and to be able to, you know, draw your viewers' attention where you want it to go, in-camera settings are also very important. You can change your in-camera settings to essentially create any image you want. Obviously, there are limits to certain cameras and there are different things that you should and shouldn't do depending on how you're looking to create your shot. But by simply bumping up the aperture or even lowering it down, or, you know, changing the ISO, you can create a much brighter or a much darker image. With the aperture, you can also create much more depth of field. So a lower aperture lets in more light, which would then have your subject in focus and your background blurry. And that's a shot that a lot of people like to get and have this bokeh look with, you know, a subject in focus. Although it's really good, it's a very cliche shot. It can look amazing in certain circumstances though. This is another huge tip that I learned very recently. I didn't learn this recently, but I decided to start using it recently. I thought, why have I not been doing this all the time? Especially for people like me who record a lot of stuff on their own. If you want to record yourself, for example, you lock off a tripod shot just like this and you want to add movement to the shot. Because a lot of people like the gimbal kind of look. There are so many plugins, so many ways, so many methods of being able to add artificial movement to your shot after you've shot the image. So for example, for this shot now, if I wanted it to be like a nice smooth pan from the top to the bottom, I can do that with a click of my finger, and that's all post-production. I can do that simply. And this is where it helps to have like a higher resolution camera. So for example, I'm shooting now in 4K, meaning I can scale in the image a lot more and it doesn't lose any quality if I upload the video at 1080p. I'm probably going to upload this at 4K, so it doesn't make a difference, but I can still scale in quite a lot, which then gives me a lot of flexibility to play around with the frame and be able to move it in post-production. Using keyframes and third-party plugins to have handheld movement or just a pan in motion is so effective. Again, trying to capture your viewers' attention and being able to focus and divert all their attention onto the subject, you can do this by, you know, panning the shot and you know, the possibilities are endless. I've just realized I'm not a very good teacher. Anyway guys, that's just about all I have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Based on where I'm sat now and everything I've just listened to myself say, I feel like this video is going to be pretty dreadful. But it's 2021, I've made a New Year's resolution to upload videos. I don't really like doing videos where I sit down like this and talk to a camera. There are so many reasons why. I'd rather be out in the field filming. But you know, it's 2021, I want to try and upload more like I just said. I also want to help anybody that I can. Although I'm not at an experienced position to be able to give feedback and tips and tricks, I definitely will be throughout the year because I've got so many things planned. Obviously we have to stick to the COVID regulations, so hopefully that's kind of just gone. It's so annoying, isn't it? Hopefully like the vaccine just kind of clears it off. It's not that simple, but hopefully throughout the year, you know, I can get on with this stuff that I have planned. You know, I want to be doing wedding shoots, I want to be doing commercial shoots, I want to be doing travel films and loads of cool stuff like that. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, please leave a big thumbs up. It goes a long way for me. Also, if you could share the video with a friend that might need it, that might not need it, again, it helps. If you're not already following me on my social medias, I definitely recommend it because that's where I'll post any updates as to when I have new videos coming out and stuff like that. Although for the first 2 weeks of 2021, we've had like a consecutive schedule of 2 weeks. I'll probably be going back to work soon at some point when the COVID restrictions you know, eased where I am here. I'm not saying that's going to be soon, but regardless, I won't be able to upload every single week. I'm just trying to do that as much as possible during the start. I'm going to definitely aim to get a video up at least once a month this year, so if I can make 12 videos, that's, you know, we've only got 10 to go. I mean 12 proper videos, like films, you know, like good videos. Not that this isn't a good video, I'm just waffling. Anyway guys, take care and I'll see you later.